Shanahan thought Deebo Samuel shirtless pics were nice. He better hope Jason Aponte doesn't slide in those DMs. New Sprint Right Option podcast starts now.
Welcome, everybody.
We are live.
My name is Jason Aponte.
I am Andrew Pasquini.
We're working. That's it. We're working over here. That's it. Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners. Sprint Right Option podcast. Oh my goodness. We are live. It is a new episode of the Sprint Right Option podcast. I am Andrew Pasquini, joined by the incomparable, the beautiful, the amazing. I was going to go other words too, but we don't got to get too excited early on here on the podcast. Jason Aponte. Jason, it is Wednesday. You know what that means. 49ers camp is open. No, actually, forget the 49ers right now. How are you doing? I got to ask how you doing. We're friends. We got to acquaint each other before we dive into the meat and potatoes.
Yeah, and we should allow people to get in here. I want to say 10 out of 10 on the cold opening. That was incredible.
Thank you.
You know,
been sitting on that for 24 hours.
I love it. You're a master of your craft. And while we wait for people to get in here, make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel, and subscribe to anywhere that you get the Sprint Right Option podcast for your audio podcast. Andrew, I kind of want to talk about Oppenheimer.
Oh my God, dude! The people are lucky the Niners are back because this could be an hour and a half episode of just You remember when we did the Silk Sonic album review? Like we could be doing that with Oppenheimer times like 500.
Yeah. Incredible.
You start. I mean, I feel like the speechless start is the best way to do it. So I did the Barbenheimer. We won't do spoiler. Well, spoiler. They drop a bomb.
Spoiler. Jimmy G's handsome.
Oh my God. Let's talk about that, man. No, I did the Barbenheimer double. I did it. I did Oppenheimer before.
It's a good
Barbie.
solid 5 hours in the theater.
Great solid 5 hours in the theater. It took me a good 30 minutes into Barbie to like really get over Oppenheimer. I thought about Oppenheimer that long. It was a very good movie. Yard House in Between. Now we're just talking about my Sunday night. Yard House in Between. Shout out. Hey, Yard House, if you're listening.
Gang.
I guarantee you there is no podcast that loves you more than the Sprint Right Option podcast. Just throwing it out there. But
it's the brand, baby.
Oppenheimer, man. It probably is my favorite movie I've ever watched. I'm a history nerd. I like random stuff like that. Yeah, man. Like I'm trying to come up with words for how good of a movie it is, and it's just not there because I'm not good with movies and talking about them. But as somebody who has a very hard time paying attention to things, ADHD, not a fun thing to have. It was the easiest 3-hour movie I've ever watched, and I think that's like the nicest thing you can say about a 3-hour movie.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to see it early in New York on a Tuesday, right before it came out. I scored some tickets and I stood online and I made sure I went. It's a movie that certainly stays with you. It's a movie that deserves to be rewatched, but it is heavy, and I don't want to see it again soon. But it's incredible. I don't know how Christopher Nolan had turned that into such a suspenseful movie. Mm-hmm. The cinematography is great. If I have one little nitpick, and this is usually what the nitpick is with Christopher Nolan movies, is the volume on the dialogue not being raised behind that amazing score. And I need to watch it again with subtitles. But what I learned was a huge comic book guy, Robert Downey Jr. I think we almost kind of forgot how great of an actor he is because he was just Iron Man, and he is absolutely incredible. I walked away stunned, and I would be shocked if he does not get nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah, that was my one thing, because like I know Iron Man and Marvel are all very much mainstream, and I think we're not gonna forget, but people know him as Iron Man. We should absolutely, and I forget his character's name. I suck with names and this stuff. And
Gene Strauss.
Gene Strauss. Gene Strauss. Levi Strauss?
No.
Who's Levi Strauss?
That's a Gene company.
shout out Levi Stadium.
Shout out Levi Stadium.
I'm a bozo.
That's how you segue into 49ers talk.
Yeah, exactly. Robert Downey should be remembered for that role more than Iron Man, to be 1,000% honest. And also too, Ryan Gosling is Ken. Amazing. Just art. That's my Barbie review.
I haven't seen it yet, so no spoilers.
No spoilers. I think on Friday though, I'm trying to, because Sacramento down the street from my apartment, we have one of the 1770 millimeter IMAX screens that Nolan wants you to watch it on. Yeah. So I might run it back on Friday, but we'll see. Nice. We'll see. Hey, I did the segue. We killed it, but hey, we're here. 49ers football. We're here to talk about it. A lot of things have happened in the past 24 to 36 hours. We're going to try and stay as not time friendly, but as chronological as we can. But I'm sure we're going to start talking about it, Jason, and we're going to have some aspects of today's camp kind of sink into yesterday's press conference. I will start. Also, by the way, so there it is. The lights didn't turn on? No way. Are you? Oh my God, I'm going to text the group. Okay, so that's fun. That's Corbin. That's the guy from my league. He was in one of the semifinals games. I was in the other semifinal games. His team won. We lost. My team cannot hit. We scored 6 runs in our last 3 games in slow pitch softball. You know how bad that is?
Anyway, look at you guys being the New York Yankees.
So the lights didn't even turn on. Okay, I'm gonna share that to the people in the chat or in my team. But hey, thank you, Corbin, for that update. I needed that. So the big news coming out of yesterday, dare I say, Jason Aponte, it is not Deebo Samuel being shirtless. It is Brock Purdy is cleared. He's not on any restrictions, but is on a throwing schedule, which I believe, if I understood it correctly, it's 3 days in a row and then 1 day off. They're going to rotate the reps on Purdy's off day between the 3 other quarterbacks, which I guess we're getting a little bit into today. But that's the big news. That is the big news. Brock Purdy, the presumed quarterback one, is healthy, and we should be seeing him pretty consistently throughout camp.
Great. I love it. I love it. Let's roll. Let's Brock and roll. Oh, I hate it. Cut that one out. Make sure you edit that out when we go through it again. No, it's good. I mean, I think, again, we stated many times, Brock Purdy had done enough on the field where he deserves to get the first look. And I think the 49ers feel the same exact way. And why shouldn't they? So it's fine. I'm great with it, and the idea that the ramp up period to starting immediately is here and it's going well. And, as 49er fans, I feel like we're a little bit more, I guess, pessimistic when it comes to injury recovery because there's always a setback. There's always something. It's great. It's great to hear nothing but positive news on that front. And yeah, I let's get it, man. Let's see the youngster again, get him ready, get him rolling, get him moving with this offense and get everybody going. And I just want to see it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and this really felt like the inevitable step, the inevitable first camp. Yeah, I saw that. Shout out JKBG, went to training camp today, probably got kicked out, was trying to push my erotic 49ers collection, but they didn't like me selling Talanoa Huthonga's. Damn shame. I love you, JKBG. There's nothing.
He's so good. He's so good.
So good. But yeah, this really felt like the first inevitability of camp was getting cleared. That's the way things have been talked about. For the past 3 months, more or less since we got the first report that, what was it? He was delaying the surgery, and Lynch and Shanahan talked a little bit about how important that decision of delaying the surgery was maybe in this. I don't think John Lynch speaking as an expert in terms of doctors, but what doctors are telling him. It sounds like that was a very important thing in this process. And now really from here, it's just kind of, how does he look? How does he feel? And we're really, I don't know. And it's way too early for me to start thinking of preseason games. The fact I'm even mentioning the preseason 3 weeks ahead of the first preseason game hurts my head a little bit. But are we going to see him in a preseason game? I doubt it. Maybe not. But we'll see. But this really was the first big news story of camp that we kind of expected. Maybe a little earlier than we expected. But it felt like it was going to turn into this at some point over the next week or two.
Yeah, if you would have asked me what was the probability of getting a Nick Bosa extension or finding out things about Brock, I probably would have put my money on the Nick Bosa extension being announced before that. So, I mean, one way or another, I think this is all good news. It's all good vibes right now. today, for the people that were there, it was kind of hard to watch people at training camp because usually I'm there.
It's
but
difficult.
It was pretty cool to see Jake Moody leading the hype machine, the rookie hype machine. That's pretty cool. So
I had the note down. He hit the Cupid shuffle very well, better than me. But I also don't know how to Cupid shuffle.
You know what, Andrew? I think you can hit the Cupid shuffle a little bit better than him. And Moody, this is my advice to you. Like, let the hips go. Come on, like, get into it, bro. Like, if you practice that and you did, it looked like that's what you came up with. I'm way more disappointed. I'm way more disappointed in the fact that you had a chance to practice the Cupid shuffle and that's what you came up with, man.
Yeah.
Forget the selection at 99. Or what? It's like, my God, man, you had a chance to really knock the Cupid shuffle out and make a great first impression. And unfortunately, I have to say right now, if I was giving out assessments, you're rhythmless, pal. And that's scary. That's a scary thing. I think for sure Andrew Pasquini could do it better.
I don't even know how to Cupid shuffle. When the song comes on at weddings, I don't even go on the. I am actively avoid the dance floor at all times at weddings type guy. Like,
can you electric slide?
Electric slide. No, I'm only good at the songs where they explicitly tell me what to do. So like the cha-cha slide.
Yo,
you know, where they tell you.
So
yeah, no, I'm very bad at dancing, Jason.
So you can't Cupid shuffle. You can't electric slide.
I can crank that Soulja Boy.
Can you crank that Soulja Boy? Oh, my
Jake Moody. We haven't even camp's barely started. Jake Moody's already throwing.
Look, and as Axel says, Jason finding infinite reasons to hate on kickers. I'm just critiquing his dancing. That's it, man. I don't care. Hit all the 60-yarders, but my God, man.
You thought the hips would be better because you rotate the hips into the kick.
He's a kicker, and literally in the song, now kick. You got to be better, Jake. Come on.
The Sprint Red Option podcast, the only podcast that mentions Jake Moody's Cupid shuffle before mentioning the 49ers don't expect Nick Bosa to be at camp until he signs that extension. I don't think that's really big news either. I think like these are all like expected. This is what the segment should be. We should do a segment for camp. Expected headlines of the day. Expected headline of the day. Niners don't expect Bosa to be at camp. Expected headline of the day. Deebo Samuel said he is in the best shape of his life. You know, like things like that. Like we should just rapid fire hit all of those. But yeah, no, I'm not too worried about the Nick Bosa thing. I have a feeling a deal is going to be done. I think I tweeted it last night. The Fred Warner one felt like it was an early one that happened a couple of years ago where that happened in the middle of July. But the George Kittle one didn't happen until the end of August. So we got to keep that in mind. If there is one player on this team I'm not worried about missing all of training camp entering the season, I think it's going to be Nick. I have the thighs of Jason Aponte Bosa. And that's just we're gonna run with it, you know. You
couldn't let it go.
Hitting all the points, hitting all the points today.
You couldn't let it go.
Miami Aponte hits differently, dare I say.
Honestly, low key, I didn't even know I was that thick on the bottom.
Hey man, you don't know what you look like until the 49ers queen see it, you know.
Don't start.
Anyways, Nick Bosa. What do you think?
I don't think there's a big problem. Just get them ready for week 1 at this point. You know, there has been a little bit of talk of like how far apart they are on the numbers. It's fine. You know, again, last year's situation with Deebo it felt a bit more dire because of the trade request, because of the idea of I'm not playing anything like that. They'll figure it out. They'll fix it. I'm not like worried about that at all. So this is a big nothing burger. And in fact, he was put on the, do not report list. So It opened up another spot, and the 49ers filled that spot with a new linebacker today as well, too.
And I also think, too, the Niners, I believe it's going to be a different situation than Deebo Samuel, because I believe I read that since he's on his rookie contract, the Niners can waive the daily fine, which is, I'm wrong. I read that wrong. This is why.
So I don't think that they can, because they took that out of the CBA when they negotiated the new CBA for people to stop holdouts from happening.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay, thank you very much for correcting me on that. Don't want to have another mistake. Remember last year when I said or was it Samuel, just fifth-year option him, and people are like, Andrew, bad news, can't do that. Let's see here. What else we got going on? Shanahan also said he isn't expecting Bosa to report. Hey, some Trey Lance news, and this might melt a little bit into today. CB, I didn't get a chance to listen to it yet. I have that on my hatchet. Probably have it before tomorrow. I'm sure. Jason, did you listen to it?
I listened to it, and
okay, there we
go. I think by the end of this, since we haven't spoken in so long, we should talk about play callers as well too.
Yes, working on that too. I started quarterbacks. That's 2024 Niners content.
2024 Niners quarterback Kirk Cousins.
2024 okay. Niners content. My bad, guys. We won't get too far ahead. But so Shanahan says Trey Lance looks healthier. A lot of talk of the throw motion. I don't want to speak too much on the throwing motion since I wasn't there today. I saw some videos, but videos only tell you so much. Leaking in a little bit to today per David Lombardi. Trey Lance 4 for 5 throwing today. It's that time of year, baby. We're talking throw-in numbers. Darnold 2 for 4. Brandon Allen 0 for 3. Darnold hit Aiyuk for a big play. Lance hit TDP on a big play, and then he also hit Aiyuk on another big play. So I wasn't expecting Lance. Like, all this is just like, hey, kind of expected this to come through, but we're kind of touching on it because it is the big news of the day. Listen, here's my honest opinion. This is the Andrew Pasquini opinion. My gut feeling at this point, a lot of the Trey Lance talk is probably going to be posturing.
So maybe you're right.
So I think I read. So maybe they can, because he's on the. Yeah, I believe that's what it is. So that's why it's a different situation, because he is on the 5th-year option. The Niners do not have to fine him. They could waive his fines. Thank you very much, Park, y'all.
There you go.
That's a good name. Where I'm at with Trey Lance, and this might be a little premature talk, but I think the most obvious outcome here. I'm not saying this is my prediction. I don't think this is, and I'm not saying this is what I want. I think if you simulate the Niners' remainder of the offseason 1,000 times, I think the most likely outcome is Purdy's QB1, Darnold's QB2, and Trey Lance is wearing another team's uniform at this point. That's where I'm at with it. I don't think that's where the Niners should go. I think they need to keep Trey Lance just because, we've heard about this upside for a while, so why not have that upside behind Brock Purdy? But he's looking healthy. People are talking about the throwing motion looking good. So maybe a little bit of excitement around the Trey Lance news.
Yeah, I have a harder time trying to figure out why the 49ers would trade away quarterbacks when they've had such a tough time keeping them healthy, especially after this year. Mm-hmm. Kind of the crux of the whole Shani Kawakami podcast, and I think the biggest takeaway that I had from it was him thinking finally when they were down 30-7 that, okay, this one's lost. So he really believed, like, for a little while, even after there was no quarterbacks that they could. And then he started talking about, well, we're going to have to call Phillip Rivers. And Phillip Rivers would have started the Super Bowl if the 49ers would have made it. Like, imagine that story, right? The San Francisco 49ers actually move on to the Super Bowl, and they call up Phillip Rivers, and Phillip Rivers has to go in and beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And he has to do it in his first game, and no one else is healthy. He said Jimmy wouldn't have been ready at all. Josh Johnson was banged up going into the game as well, too. That was one of the coolest things I heard. Like, it's really good to hear him vocalize his frustration sometimes, because I think he comes off as a robot sometimes, and I think that he has a little bit of emotion. But yeah, look, it is what it is at this point when it comes to the quarterback position. Mm-hmm. Is it unfair at times to, dismiss Trey Lance? I think we've been firmly in the camp of yes, it is. But we also are realists, and when someone's playing well, they deserve to play. And then I don't really see the pushback on anything like that. But I do still have a hard time believing that the 49ers, after what just happened and him talking about starting Phillip Rivers in the Super Bowl, would try to see themselves clear of just getting rid of Trey Lance at this point, especially when you consider his 5th-year option is considerable because of his draft capital and where he played. So, what position he plays.
Well, the Phillip Rivers story just got me to write down on my work schedule tomorrow to make sure to listen to the Kawakami Shanahan pod. I didn't even see that it came out, so I need to somehow make sure I see those, because that story in itself sounds like it's just worth the listen. Could you imagine Phillip Rivers winning his first Super Bowl in one game? I think it'd be one thing if I'm just gonna throw a name out, Brady, like just because a guy who's had, or I guess Roethlisberger would be an equivalent name, a guy who's won a couple Super Bowls. But could you imagine Phillip Rivers' first career game with the Niners against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl? Yeah, and winning his first ring
and
with
the
the
49ers
Niners.
bring home number 6 on the back.
Would you retire 17? Like,
yes.
one literally 100% of the games he's played in as a Niner, he wins a Super Bowl. Yeah. Okay, I like that. Let's see here. I already kind of touched on the. Oh yeah, Shanahan thinks that Deebo can return to 2021 form, and then he had the great quote where he said he didn't know somebody can send as many shirtless photos as Deebo, which got a good amount of laughs. And then I also mentioned the Deebo Samuel best shape of his life. Deebo Samuel revenge season, even though he had like a pretty decent season, that's the funny thing about the Deebo Samuel quote, and even Kyle Shanahan touched on is like I think he was maybe being a little rough on himself. But like 630, like I know the receiving yards were way down from the year before, but to consider that he had 632 receiving yards and 232 rushing yards just as a receiver, like it's just such an insane season in context. I'm excited to see what Deebo Samuel does. Because we've been kind of teasing it, but there's going to be a conversation to be had about what receiver is going to, maybe be on the team next year. But that's a conversation for another day. But it really feels like maybe my early overreaction, Jason Aponte, to day one of camp of maybe we're getting peak Deebo Samuel and peak Brandon Aiyuk on the same team.
Yeah, and I mean, look, let's just go ahead and say it. He's not going to do what he did that season when he had everybody in his bag. That was a literal one-off season because of the fact that it was so historic. He was literally the only player to ever put up that type of season. Mm-hmm. But it is refreshing to hear Deebo Samuel say, I didn't put a lot of good stuff on film. And it's funny because as I'm going through and I'm watching the games from last year again, he still has these amazing plays. And it's like, oh, well, if you're not at full speed last year and like you're starting to feel like that, he does feel disrespected. And Andrew, that he hears Brandon Aiyuk's the better receiver. If you're going to trade anybody, you're going to trade Deebo. You're not going to trade Brandon Aiyuk. Like those things he still hears. Yes. He's still, again, living up to the contract, I think, which was well-deserved because of what he did. He literally had the 49ers in his book bag. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I do think he hears all that.
Yeah, and I just the idea of seeing what a peak Deebo Samuel and the peak Brandon Aiyuk, because like, I wonder the people saying Brandon Ayuk's a better receiver than Deebo Samuel are. Like, I wonder who those people are. It's me. Hi, but just as like, I mean, we're not going to get 1,400 receiving yards from Deebo Samuel with 350 rushing yards again. I don't think that's going to happen. But like, even if you can get to the 900, 200 plateau, like that's just because like that's a season that we're not like we couldn't even fathom 3 or 4 years ago for a receiver to have. And really, it's really if the Niners can get that from Deebo, considering what they can get from Aiyuk and what they can get from McCaffrey and what they can get from Kittle, like 900, 200 is all you need in this offense for Deebo Samuel to have. I think there's a world where a 900, 200 season this year can look better than his 2021 year. Like maybe not statistically, but maybe a couple more like big games, because I feel like that was like the big thing for Deebo Samuel in 21 that we saw a little bit last year, where he just would have the more frequent, like big games. And if he could have a little more consistency in those big games, like I could see a 900, 200 year being just as impressive as 2021.
This is Andrew's nice roundabout way of saying, don't box score scout and watch the tape, pal. Because if he has more of an impact with less numbers, I mean, I'm not sure that we can downplay what he did, obviously, in that season, because it felt like every time the 49ers needed something, it was him. But there is a world where those numbers drop, but the impact is the same and or better at times. So, yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of playmakers on this team, and that's the beauty. In that year, Deebo did everything. Literally everything. He iced games with his legs. He was literally giving everything he had. I mean, I still vividly remember him, like after running that 3rd and 9, and he's like stomping on his foot because he's hurt, like, and he like finishes the first down, basically ending the Packers season. I remember all that, but there is certainly a world where the numbers obviously don't add up to what they did in that historic season, but the impact is still there because of the player that he is. And I think that is everybody's kind of downplaying Deebo and his chance to really do something this year. And I can't wait to see him play because I do think he's a little angry.
And if you look at the numbers too, last year was Deebo Samuel's lowest career yards per reception of 11.3. 2021, he had 18.2 yards per reception. If you take that 18.2 yards per reception, which is like peak Deebo Samuel, and put it to his 2022 56 receptions, that's 1,000 yards. So like if you can get even to 15 yards per reception, right, to a 56, that's 840 yards. That's just about that 9. So if you can get a little closer to that 18.2 yards per reception, which I don't think he can do, which I like because that's just such a high number, and you keep his touches down to what 2022 was, like I think that's easily a better Deebo Samuel than 2021 because less volume, same production, he's staying healthier, things like that. So I'm really excited for 49ers receivers this year. Maybe a little less excited in the depth because Juwan Jennings kind of hit or miss, right? High drop percentage. And then but beyond it, but the top half of the 49ers receivers, I'm very excited, and there's plenty of reason. Last note I had on the Shanahan-Lynch presser before we kind of talk about things that happened today, unless you had anything, Jason. Mitch Wishnowsky tweaked his back lifting weights. Why is he lifting weights? Legs, just kick.
I feel like you're doing this on purpose, but it's fine.
I always close with special teams.
Get better, Mitch.
Yeah, like lift more with your leg, not explosive with the back, explosive with the legs. Do you got anything else? From not just for that, just for the presser. You want to move on to today?
No, let's talk about today.
Let's talk about it today. So let's see here. I already talked about the quarterback numbers, kind of the best things. Lance looked good. Some people said 5 for 6. Some people said 4 for 5. Take what you want because that's the time of year, right? But from what I hear, Trey Lance looked really good. Sam Darnold, some people were a little harder on him. Some people were a little nicer on him. I don't have to name names. And then Brandon Allen just kind of there, the 0 for 3. Brandon Allen throws a very interesting wrench in this because the fourth quarterback. And the fact that he's even here, and I mean this in the nicest way because I don't like to talk about it like that. The fact that he's even here shows you how good his OTAs were. Yeah. I mean, 3 years ago, I would have thought it was crazy the Niners had 3 quarterbacks that you really thought were getting reps in camp. And now we're here talking 4, and one's Brandon Allen with all these other names. They're getting a lot of attention. So we'll see what he looks like. But really, I know, Jason, it's tough. It's tough when we're not there. You're going to be there. I ideally will be there on August 5th. So what did you read up on Lance? Kind of what you thought stood out with Trey Lance?
I think the release looks a lot more cleaner, quicker. His footwork, he looks a lot more confident. It was kind of telling that he was the first quarterback up, but he did split the first team reps with Darnold as well too. So that there's no way to really gauge like, oh, they're pushing him to start or anything like that in case or anything like that. Like I didn't really get anything from that, but it is hard to see, But when you hear him hitting TDP on a rail route, like on a trail, like good, you want to hear those things. It sounded to me like when I spoke to Brad, who was there, and I trust. When we were talking, it was the first team period of throwing was more about like checkdowns and getting the ball out quickly, and then in the final team period was when things were progressing. I did get a chance to watch Grant as well too. Grant said that Trey looked a lot better. Sam Darnold looks like Sam Darnold, which I kind of touched on the Bully Ball podcast. It's coming apart very quickly for the people that were assuming that Sam Darnold would be ahead of Trey Lance because he's probably just not good at football. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to talk about things when you're not there, but from all accounts and people that I trust, it sounds like he was fine. He looks a little bit better in terms of his throwing motion. It looks smoother. He looks like a more refined quarterback. And there is a little bit of still instinct that he needs to play the position, which will come with time and reps.
Not to take all your great points on Trey Lance and make it about TDP, but the type of sicko I am is when I saw the headline that, hey, Lance hit a deep pass to TDP out of the backfield, my first thought was, oh, that's good because TDP is going to need that. TDP is going to need that out of the backfield stuff because if you look at the running back situation, Jason, like nothing against TDP, Tyrion Davis-Price, there's 3 running backs ahead of him, right? That I would say are better running backs, and that's Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell, and Jordan Mason. So what is Tyrion Davis-Price going to need? He's going to need those out of catching the ball out of the backfield plays, right? And to me, when I saw that Lance hit specifically Davis-Price, that's something that excites me because I don't know if you know this, Jason Aponte, but Kyle Shanahan likes his running backs. Yeah. And if you can have 4 running backs that you trust, and I know Christian McCaffrey is going to get a lot of those carries. I mean, it's just talking about the Deebo Samuel thing, less receptions with a higher yards per reception type thing. The fresher you keep these guys, the better it's going to look in December, the better it's going to look in January. I don't know if you've heard the Niners have tended to struggle in that last little weekend of January to get to that Super Bowl. So I think any big play that you can see from like a Tyrion Davis-Price or a Jawan Jennings or Danny Gray, I think that should just get you a little more excited because if the Niners can just find – because we talk about the high-end weapons on the 49ers – is there a middle tier weapon the 49ers have right now? The closest thing I would say would be Elijah Mitchell, but the injury questions kind of bring it up. It's really the Niners have these explosive high-end weapons that middle tier needs to find a little more depth before we kind of talk about it. So I think if we could get some more Tyrion Davis-Price hype. That's
it actually kind of lines up with what Anthony Lynn was talking about how when other running backs are on the field, that they don't want to change their offense and they want to run the same sort of things that they're doing with Christian McCaffrey, because if Christian McCaffrey's not on the field and TDP's not catching passes, then you can kind of like focus in on something. And, Anthony Lynn spoke at length about Christian McCaffrey, TDP, Jordan Mason, all catching passes, kind of left Elijah Mitchell out. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And the only reason I bring it up is because last season, when Anthony Lynn was talking about the running backs, he spoke about everyone but Trey Sermon. And then what happened to Trey Sermon? Yeah. So I'm not like it. It's just a funny coincidence, but it is good to kind of hear that TDP has evolved his game a little bit more and can keep defenses honest, because you won't know what to expect when he's on the field, and they can still run exactly what they want to run. And it helps Kyle Shanahan stay in rhythm as a play caller and keep the offense a lot less predictable.
Yeah, and that Elijah Mitchell talk, it's very interesting, and that's all I'm going to leave it at. I know I've shared a take with you maybe a couple months ago regarding that, but it's interesting, and I'm just going to leave it at that for now. What else? I don't have much on the offensive side of the ball right now. I saw more of the Deebo Samuel, Aiyuk stuff. If you go back to the early days of the Sprint Right Option podcast, maybe even when we were called the 49ers Noir live show, we were big Javon Kinlaw guys. And that's wavered a little bit, but this quote today, I pulled this from Lombardi, but this is a Kyle Shanahan quote. He's got a full year without any setbacks. As that happens, he looks better and better. I know Javon Hargrave is the big signing. Eric Armstead's obviously going to be the second starter. But I mean, you talk about like a couple years ago, when Kinlaw was the starter and Eric Armstead obviously was the starter, the importance of like a DJ Jones or a Kevin Givens. If the Niners can get a healthy third Javon Kinlaw, that Niners off defensive line, I know it's already very good. And I got roasted a little bit today for a take I may have had in an article about medium confidence in the 49ers defensive line, specifically because of the depth, and people telling me, hey, Nick Bosa's there. How do you not have high confidence? Well, it's because of the depth. Like the Niners
Nation comments.
Yeah, no, I never do. And I felt really good about it because I wrote, I don't know if you saw Niners Nation. We write from NinersNation.com. I wrote a confidence in each position group. I felt really good about it. So I'm like, I'm going to feel myself. I'm going to read the comments. And the first comment was like, this guy, obvious. Just say you love Trey Lance. I'm like, where did you get that in that article? Oh, yeah. And then the next one was, how are you not full confidence in the defensive line? And then I stopped reading it. But it's because of that depth, because we hear Bosa and we hear Armstead and we hear Hargrave. But then after that, who's the fourth guy? Mm-hmm. Right? Clelin Ferrell, he can be that guy. Sure. Drake Jackson can be that guy. Sure. But those are all question marks right now. until we see it happen, I'm medium confidence on the defensive line. But to tie it back to the point, just to have Kinlaw, having Shanahan say these things about Kinlaw makes me feel good as a guy who's been kind of sitting on his Javon Kinlaw stocks.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the draft capital that was invested, obviously, and the Buckner thing, we don't have to go down that road. It's changed the expectations of Javon Kinlaw. It's right now, can you put together a full season? Can you become a rotational lineman who can rush the passer, stuff the run? That's important, to have right now. But it's kind of funny how the conversation has shifted from like, hey, this is going to be this guy going, and then this, like, it's unfortunately now this is what we're going to do. And let's see. All right. Cassandra Jean said, call my first live. Awesome. I mean, I'm glad it was us.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Axel, real quick. Another comment. Axel, never ever call Kyle Shanahan Coach K again. Never.
No,
I don't want to do it.
He's talking about Chris Kosuric.
Oh, okay. Well, that too. No, don't ever call any of my Niner coaches Coach K, because I do not mess with Mike Krzyzewski. I don't want Coach K references, and I don't like Duke basketball.
Whoa.
Don't like Duke basketball. Hate Duke basketball.
What did Coach K do to you?
Hate Coach K. Hate Duke. Hate Duke basketball. That's all.
Why?
That's pretty simple.
So it's
pretty
Florida State football, and who for NCAA?
Oh, I don't watch college basketball. I just don't like Duke basketball. I don't like North
because
Carolina
they like the
basketball. No, I'm cool with the Yankees. Yankees are fine. Yankees are a low-budget indie baseball team right now. What is there not to like about the Yankees?
Shut up, man. All right, listen. Either way, back to Javon Kinlaw. It would be really nice for him to be a great rotational piece because, let's just keep it a buck. Like, they declined the fifth-year option, so unfortunately, he's got to show that he can stay on the field for his football career. And whether he's with the Niners or not, I am rooting for the young man, and I hope that he does well. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm excited to see what that looks like. The other news, big news, this was the one I had circled, the always important, who is the first one on the field? That's always important. That's
always. Who was it?
It was Jair Brown today.
Let's go.
Listen. If anybody in this live chat right now, if you see first player on the field tweets, please tag me. Make sure I see them. I want to track this. Okay, so I have Jair Brown today. If you see one tomorrow or for the rest of camp, please send it to me because I live. These are the tweets I live for. The other big news out of the secondary, Samuel Womack, no longer number 26. He's number 0, which if you go to my article from a couple months ago where I predicted who would be the Niners player to wear number 0, I had Samuel Womack at 2nd. I had Diamador Lenore at 1, but that was strictly because, and I wrote this in the article, 26 is a good cornerback number, 36 is a bad cornerback number. So I thought Diamador Lenore was – I don't like 30s on football uniforms.
I will not let you slander Merton Hanks, who's a safety.
Merton Hanks is great. Bad jersey number. I love that. What was it? The funky chicken? Is that what we called it when he
the pigeon walk?
Is that what it was? I forgot what it was called.
You know what that's
Merton
from?
Hanks guy. I do not. What's it from?
Sesame Street. It's Bird's Dance.
I thought you were gonna drop some like Breaking Bad. And do not expect Sesame Street to be the answer.
Sesame Street.
It's from Curb Your Enthusiasm, man. Working through Always Sunny. Always Sunny right now.
Nice.
Favorite musical I've ever seen is The Nightman Cometh. But no, so Samuel Womack, number 0. That's the other news. Oh, and I guess on the field stuff, Demetrius Flanagan fouls, DFF Hive, shout out. Forced a fumble on Jordan Mason, which not great for Mason, but I heard he recovered it, so I guess that cancels it out. And
there's no pads. There's no pads and stuff like that. Yeah. So, I think it's just exciting to see people back out there playing. I think a little bit more of the stuff that I was looking at was about how even though there were no pads, anytime the 49ers tried to run right behind McKivitz, it wasn't going well for them. So again, everything is nothing is something until it really means something. Like, if that makes any sense. And it's just Yeah. But Jedi says, is Womack behind Demo? That's how they're doing it outside. No, I think Womack is fighting with Oliver for inside nickel corner.
Yeah, I think Demo and Charvarius Ward are your 2 starting cornerbacks right now. I'm assuming Isaiah Oliver is going to be your slot corner. Your starting slot corner, and then Womack's probably going to be battling, and I'm sure we'll see we'll see both of them on the field at the same time, depending on personnel. Jason, those were all the notes I had for camp today, all the things that kind of caught my attention that I read throughout the day. Is there anything I missed?
I don't think so. Obviously Brandon Aiyuk seems like the star.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I had that written down. Brandon Aiyuk had I kind of touched it. Brandon Aiyuk had 2 big plays, a contested catch over Lenore, and then he had a big play. And also, real quick, just since we have a little bit of time left, 40 minutes, if anybody has questions, send them our way. We'll take them here in a minute since we're kind of wrapping up the notes we had. But, yeah, you want to touch on Aiyuk a little bit since you mentioned him?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, the young man's in a contract year. Seems like him and Demo have a little friendly rivalry thing going on social media. That's really cool. But yeah, he's a baller, man. I think the crazy part is he's still scratching the surface of his talent still. And right now, he knows what's at stake. Extra year, you get a chance, you're gonna get paid. Mm-hmm. You know, you may not make as much money as Justin Jefferson, who I expect to be the highest paid player in football until somebody else isn't. But my goodness, man, Brandon Aiyuk, this is what he did all of last training camp as well, too. And it didn't matter who was lined up against him. He was dominating. So, yeah, I love to see it. I am so happy that the 49ers have found him. And when you think about his journey from, what is it? Angie wrote on NBC Sports from doghouse to top dog. I love that. That's such a bar. It's so good. Shout out to Angie. It's exciting to watch because you're still watching a player blossom.
Yeah.
And he hasn't hit his full potential yet. And I think that is the fun part. And I think more and more people now outside of the 49ers fan base are recognizing how good Brandon Aiyuk is or how good he can be. So it's an exciting time, man. I just cannot wait. So look, here we go.
Oh, we'll get to this, CB, real quick. I just to touch on it. I'm finally going to cash in my take that I've been squatting on for this podcast for a few years now. If you remember when I said when I think of a wide receiver one, I don't think of the first receiver. I think of or on a depth chart. I think the reference I made when we did this podcast was a Julio Jones, right? I guess it would be a Justin Jefferson type. A wide receiver one is like 6 or 7 guys in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And I said Brandon Aiyuk always is the guy who has the highest potential to be that on the 49ers. I'm cashing that take in right now. Yeah. This will be the year that Brandon Aiyuk is looked at in that top tier.
Hell yeah, King, go off.
I'm going to sit on that take right now. That is my hot take. CB Niners, what are y'all most excited to find out post-training camp? I'm going to bail out. I'm just excited to find out what the quarterback pecking order is, just so we know. I know there's a lot of other little things here and there. Obviously, the third linebacker spot's kind of an intriguing one. There's a lot of names that can be put there. The cornerback rotation, things like that, how the pass rush is going to look. I'm just excited to finally put the quarterback conversation away. And with Brock Purdy getting cleared, I feel like that's the first kind of big step. And I feel like every camp we talk about, like the first big step of figuring out who the quarterback is going to be at the 49ers happened today. And we're doing it again this year, Jason. But this really feels like the earliest we're going to have this conversation settled. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't be surprised if we find out in the next week or two that, hey, it is Purdy's job to lose, or it's just Purdy's job. I'm just excited to find out what the pecking order is and just a resolve of the quarterback situation.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the most important position in football, you want to have that locked in, and that seems to be the 49ers issue going into every year. But for me, I feel like it's can Drake Jackson be the guy that they believe he will be on the edge? And if he is, then that really changes the dynamic of this defensive line and would really turn this defensive line, as you said, from your medium confidence to you're ultra confident, because now he's a 3-down edge guy, and now he's the guy who is sacking the quarterback and is great in run support, doesn't come off the field, and then you can start having conversations if Drake Jackson starts to get into that potential about whether that defensive line is better than the 2019 defensive line. So that's one. 2, I am very much interested in the secondary rotation, and I wrote about this on Niners Nation as well too. I think we're fine outside. We understand who those guys are. Talanoa Hufanga off of an all-pro season. He's absolutely going to be there. The nickel corner thing has a chance to sort itself out. So is it Isaiah Oliver? Is it going to be Samuel Womack, who started last season as a starter? And then what about Tig? Like, are we going to do 3 safeties, or does Tig push his way into that role with Gibson? It's kind of assumed that Tashawn Gibson is your placeholder while he gets up to speed, while he's ready to go. But for me, when I spoke to Tig, he talked about them saying, hey, we want to get you on the field, 3 safeties. They kind of echoed that as well, too, and that's kind of been spoken about inside the building. So it's more about the 49ers' history of, and pointing to Talanoa Hufanga, if they want to get their guy on the field, they're going to get him on the field. We both love Tart, but there was no doubt that the 49ers were trying to get Hufanga on the field.
Yeah.
So, and then what's the dynamic with Steve Wilks? Steve Wilks is a DB guru. How does he use him? So all of those things are interesting. I think right now everybody is hyper-focused on the quarterback position, as they should be, because it's super important. But I'm looking for the secondary. I'm looking for Drake Jackson. And I'm looking to see if Colton McKivitz can actually be adequate, because I think a lot of people forget Kyle Shanahan had people fooled and believing that Tom Compton was somehow an upgrade over Mike McGlinchey. That's just how good of a coach the scheme is and how good he is. So.
Perfect. And you mentioned Talanoa Hufanga. Just quick breaking news here. Nothing too serious. Dre Greenlaw named the 79th best player for 2023 on the NFL Top 100. Talanoa Hufanga named number 78, both making their first appearance on the list. We got another Axel. How much first-round talent is currently on the DL? I think if we're talking literally, that would be Bosa, Armstead, and Clelin Ferrell, correct?
I'm sorry. Something I said to our group chat. You should.
I saw it. This isn't the corner of the internet to mention that. No. I saw that, loved it. But yeah, if we're speaking literally, it's Clelin Ferrell, Nick Bosa, and Eric Armstead. But if we're talking about like in terms of current talent, like I mean, I would slap a first round grade on Javon Hargrave right now. Like I don't think he was not a first round pick, was he? Or was he?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I'm Jedi mind tricking. I'm saying something and I just have no idea what I'm trying to say because I don't even know. 3rd round, 89th pick by the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2016. But like, yeah, if we're talking about like what they look like now, then yeah, I would say the true like first round talent guys would be Hargrave, Bosa, and Armstead. I would say Armstead's still a first round talent. I know he doesn't get the pass rush numbers, but the Kinlaw's first round too. I already forgot about that. Look at that. Kinlaw, yes, Kinlaw too. My brain is thinking starters right now, and you're absolutely correct. Kinlaw is there as well. Jason, did I have a question? I feel like I had a question for you.
49er related or
maybe? Possibly. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't.
This is all great podcasting and all.
No, this is honest. No, like the last like 10 minutes of the podcast, people need to know don't count as real podcasting because like we just kind of it's just us cleaning up our brain and be like, okay, did we miss anything?
We should just get back. We should just get back to talking about Oppenheimer.
Oh man, what a movie!
Incredible movie, man. I haven't stopped thinking about it.
Yeah, I know. As I said, it took me a good like 30 minutes to like get over it. I thought Matt Damon was very good in it.
Matt Damon was great. I thought Josh Hartnett was great.
I'm not going to spoil the cameo, the fun like Nickelodeon cameo, and that might be a bit of a spoiler, but like the fact that he was shown for like 3 seconds and then he did that pretty important thing and that was like his 5 seconds on screen. That's a pretty good spot. Kind of like, dare I say, the John Cena of the Barbie movie.
Dude. And then fucking Albert Einstein.
No spoilers, obviously.
I mean, he's already in the trailer. It's fine.
Einstein was fun. Tristy, Silver and Black, go Raiders. Hey, have fun watching Jimmy Garoppolo. That's gonna be cool.
How was that? How did that ruin it? Y'all didn't see the trailer? He's in the trailer. Like he's in the trailer. Also, Raiders Tristy is here.
Also, like to American history, like technically speaking, we cannot spoil any of this because it all happened like 70 years ago. This is all real stuff.
Hold on. But way to spoil it. All right, guys. He makes a bomb, and then that bomb gets used. Spoiler alert. And the
bad point of American history.
The sad part is this actually happened in real life. So yeah, great way to ruin it. I love it. But yeah, Raiders Tristy is here, and she's cooking. She's got Jimmy Garoppolo, who's very handsome, and I'm so
gonna
happy.
miss that man. Like I tweeted it the other day. I love how like we swore off talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, but here we are.
Absolutely not. Never.
Listen. I miss that man on my favorite team. And that's like, as I said on Twitter, that's not a commentary on the current 49ers quarterback situation. I like chaos. Dare I say, I'm an agent of chaos. I always like chaotic things. Mm-hmm. And he brought a special brand. Over under 4 picks by Jimmy and joint practice. Well, if he throws 5, isn't that the magic number for the Raiders to go to the Super Bowl?
You know what's funny?
Was it 5? Was it 5 that day?
Practice never mattered for Jimmy Garoppolo, but practice matters so much for Trey Lance. Oh my God, did you see him in practice? He looked so bad. This guy threw 5 interceptions, and everybody was like, well, whatever. You know why? I think we need to have a bigger conversation, Andrew, and I'm going to kick it off. Okay. Pretty privilege. There is pretty privilege.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
When you are that handsome, people go out of their way to either cape for you or let you off the hook for certain things.
Yeah.
If Jimmy Garoppolo did that and looked like Nick Mullins, everybody would be all over him. But you're just like, oh, that rascal. He threw 5 interceptions. What a rascal.
I'm not going to make a joke, but if I were to make the joke, if Jimmy Garoppolo had the Trey Lance hairline, but I'm not making that joke. I'm not. I'm above making that joke. But I'm not. Yeah. No, I didn't make it.
Don't do that.
We would talk about Jimmy Garoppolo a little differently.
Don't do that. But it is going to be interesting to see how that goes. Unfortunately, that's not open to anybody but media. It's not going to be open to anybody. So I won't be in Vegas. I was told that if you go places,
but Jason Aponte is going to be in Vegas. He's just not going to be at camp.
All right. Hold on. So I was told, and if anybody's in the chat and they want to chime in on this, I was told that when you go away, right? Because I just came back from Miami. Anytime that you go away, that's considered thotting. Andrew Pasquini, what do you think? Going to Vegas in August, is that thotting?
No.
No. I heard a yes in the background.
No, I'm going to say no. Oh. This is where the sprint round.
You're going to say no. You're going to say no. All right. Okay.
There's plenty to do in August and
Las Vegas. God.
100-degree practices at 8 a.m. Come on, man. My chest
hurts from laughing.
Come on, man. Hey, Jason, you want to tell the people your camp plans?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like I'm probably going to miss the first week. I'll probably be in next week sometime. Get to see the lovely Andrew Pasquini, go to Yard House, get some shrimp tacos. But, it's just right now with everything that's going on with me a little bit, it's a little bit tougher this year. Mm-hmm. So I not always certain, usually every year I'm there. I know you guys enjoy my thoughts when I'm there and everything as well too. But yeah, maybe next week. It looks like I just need some stuff to come through, line up, make sure I get everything in order, and yeah, maybe.
Yeah, my plan is August 5th, next Saturday, I believe that is. It's probably the one day I can make it out. If anybody happens to have an extra ticket, I'll buy it. I'm not asking for it. I'll buy it from you because I saw the Craigslist prices for some of them.
Help us.
Not thrilled. Not
help
thrilled.
us. Help us. Thrilled. If you're a fan of Andrew Pasquini and myself, as Andrew Pasquini was asked when you're coming back on YouTube. Make sure if you guys want us to be there, let us know. And we will compensate you.
And we will buy the ticket. We're not saying give us free ticket. I will go. How much do they sell those tickets for? $5?
$10.
$10. I'll go up to $20. Because that's what I bought for last year for.
Last year I spent $30 on a ticket, and that was fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'll go up to $20 to $30 if anybody has an extra ticket. There we go. Corbin, I'm gonna stop using your real name. CB, if you're cool using your real name, I'll keep using your real name. I should not just throw names out there like that. But yeah, no. So if anybody has any tickets, reach out. Let me know. I will buy them. I promise I will buy them. I will buy them. I'm not trying to get free tickets. Mainly because I just want to go to Yard House with Jason Aponte.
Yard House.
Because what's funny?
If you're watching Yard House, sponsor the pod.
We've never been to Yard House together.
Never?
We've never gone together.
What are you talking about?
I've never been to Yard House. We go to that burger place.
Oh,
that's where I usually go.
Because Yard House is in Santana Row.
Yes.
Oh, Andrew, that stops this year.
Yeah, we're gonna go to Yard House together. We're gonna be kissing in a corner at Yard House, Jason.
Oh, Jesus, man! You're trying to kill.
We're opening with shirtless pictures of Jason Aponte, and we're ending with making out with Jason Aponte. Normal night. Yard House starting? Absolutely. I don't care.
How is that starting? How is Yard House starting now?
I don't care.
Raiders Tristy is just like wreaking havoc in this group chat right now. Right? Like
Raiders Tristy, Falcons Jordan, like.
Yep. Seattle Andrew.
Seattle.
Can we talk about how we got them to go back to those throwbacks? We did that.
I bought a creamsicle Buccaneers hat. Because I love the creamsicles. It is taking everything in my body and soul not to buy a Seahawks throwback hat. Like, because they're so nice. They're so clean. And like, I can't because I'm a Niner fan and I don't want that energy on Twitter. Because like, if that gets out on Twitter that like I have a Niners, our threads or whatever we use, Derpy Seahawk all the way. And listen, this is the official plea. November 23rd. Don't know if you heard this. Thanksgiving Day, the Niners have a football game.
Wear the white jerseys against their throwbacks.
That's literally all I want for my birthday.
Do it.
49ers, if you're watching, I hope you're watching. Kyle Shanahan, know you watch this. Pete Carroll, I know you jump in so I don't think they control the jerseys. They might. But if anybody from the Niners or Seahawks are watching this, I am begging. I am pleading that Thanksgiving night, Andrew Pasquini's 31st, dare I say, 31st birthday. It's a big one, 31st. They say 31st is the last one you look forward to because of the throwback uniforms. Give me a Niners Seahawks throwback uniform jersey game.
And then after Jake Moody nails a 54-yarder at the buzzer, put that man in the middle of the field and give him a Flintstone-sized turkey leg and have him repeat the trauma that I feel whenever the 49ers play on Thanksgiving.
I have a solid rotation of things I post on Thanksgiving. It's either the Vernon Davis yams, sweet potato yams, how he says that, or it's the Richard Sherman photo because it stays the funniest thing. Yeah. Like just the first year at Levi's, all that happening. Shout out Jim Harbaugh, 4-game suspension to Michigan. By the way, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. We love our king.
Because he bought what was it? He bought somebody a cheeseburger.
I refuse to look into it. Jim Harbaugh's innocent.
NCAA, you are a top 2 terrible organization, and you're not number 2. You are not number 2.
We're angry.
The amount of money that the
FIFA would argue.
Well, yeah. Well, the NFL also wants to get in on this as well too. The amount of money that you make off of these young men, and you won't allow them to even accept a cheeseburger or get food, but you're okay with them starving and eating ramen noodles while you guys make money hand over fist, selling their jerseys, everything, getting sponsorships. It's just a disgusting organization, man. If I had a son, I would have him play baseball, and I wouldn't let him play college football.
Are you for real? Baseball guaranteed? My kid, he's going to be left-handed pitching, hitting. You see the contract Shohei's going to get? My future kid's going to get twice that. Yard House is okay. Not my greatest experience. Too loud for me.
All right. So when you go, if they're like blasting like old school 80s rock, okay, that could be a little bit annoying. But I think I went not too long ago and they were like playing Bad Bunny. And I was like, oh, this is lit. Like it's up. Like I'm cool with this. So it depends on what's loud and what's the music.
I didn't notice the music when I went to Yard House on Sunday because I was 5 minutes removed from watching Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer, you were sitting there. Yeah,
I was just like, dude.
It's hilarious that the one scene in that movie is like silent. The whole movie's dumb loud. Everything about is loud, and the one scene in that movie is super silent. And that is like the most traumatizing thing. Oppenheimer is amazing, guys.
Oppenheimer's amazing. I don't know. We're not getting paid to say that. It's just a good movie. Go watch it. Hopefully, we'll be getting paid to talk about how good Yard House is. All the people saying like they hate the Seahawks stuff. Take off your Niners glasses for 3 seconds.
It's fine. It's a nice jersey.
You cannot tell me those are one of the best.
And also, okay, look, we hate the Seahawks now, but when they wore those Seahawks jerseys, they were in the AFC West. They didn't bother the 49ers.
Those jerseys have not traumatized me.
No, not at all.
Never
Steve Largent never did anything to me.
No.
It's Russell Wilson and Richard Sherman and Cam Chancellor, those guys. That's not the same thing.
Yeah, no, we're good. Barbie's a very good movie too. Highly recommend it. It's fun.
I'd love to see it.
It's fun. It's fun. It's a good movie. Ryan Gosling, very good. Margot Robbie. John Cena's in it.
I support anything that Issa Rae does. So I would love to see Barbie. I love Issa Rae. Dua Lipa is incredible, man.
Big Dua Lipa.
I'm scared. Yeah.
No spoilers, but there's 3 Dua Lipas in this movie.
No
spoilers. That's
spoilers. Wild.
Jason, we've been talking about absolutely nothing for 10 minutes now. I think that's what I love about this podcast is that we talk about absolutely nothing. We stopped talking. Like, this is what I love about our fans too, is we've stopped talking about the 49ers for about 10 minutes now, and people are just giving us.
It feels like After Dark, but it's not.
It's not quite After Dark season. I think After Dark season's a little closer to the regular season, but this is the camp for After Dark season.
Yeah.
What I say?
All right. I love that.
This is training camp for After Dark season.
I don't think we're gonna top that, so this is probably the best place.
Yeah, we probably should end it. The Sprint Red Option podcast has never ended on a high note and just continued talking through it. So we're gonna finish it right here. Jason Aponte, I love you as always.
Let's go Niners. It's good to be back. Shout out to all you guys. Andrew, let's get it, man. Another season, man.
J. Robert.
Welcome, everybody.
We are live.
My name is Jason Aponte.
I am Andrew Pasquini.
We're working. That's it. We're working over here. That's it. Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners.